Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. This is Sandeep Das and today we'll be talking about AWS EC2. Now if you have not previously watched that previous session on AWS IAM, I must suggest check that one. Okay, today we'll be learning about AWS EC2 instances and all the EC2 options you get in EC2 dashboard. And this is pretty cool because think about when you start learning about cloud instances, the first thought you have that you have a local machine. That means in the cloud also it's somewhere you will be running your application in a machine only. Initial concept, I'm not going for advanced other options available, but the initial thought you might have, right? Here's the point. If you're going to use the AWS, that machine you're going to spin up, it has to be in EC2. There are other options, but let's focus on EC2 for now, okay? Because today we'll be covering the EC2. So go to, see, since I have previously searched about EC2 is there, but you can just search about EC2 and it will come. So virtual server in the cloud, that's what it is, okay? So when you come, don't get overwhelmed with all the options because it's there, but all are usable. I mean, nothing is like unnecessary, it's all necessary, okay? And I'll be explaining all the options you're seeing here. I'll be explaining about all the options. Now let's start with the dashboard. Okay, in the dashboard you will see the running instances, snapshot, key pairs, security groups, volumes, elastic IPs, dedicated hosts, load balancer, placement groups. I'll be talking about all that. Don't worry, in easiest way possible. Okay, just focus on that. Okay, so very first thing when when you want to you have execute the application in your local machine and it worked fine. Now you're going to run your application in some cloud machine. That means if you are coming from any other background, it's up to that. But if you are going to work on AWS, it has to be EC2. In EC2, you have to first launch EC2 instance. Now let's talk about that. Launching instance. And it's pretty cool. I mean, see, these are the image already available to you publicly. Okay, this is AMI. What means Amazon Machine Image. This is the base image that you will be selecting. Then you will select the RAM, the number of CPUs, the storage, and the security. I'll be coming to all that. Don't worry. But the first thing you should be focusing on what Amazon Machine Image to choose for. Here you have all kind of any OS. Like if you want Windows, you can search for Windows. If you want like Ubuntu, you can see the Ubuntu is there. If you want any OS, it's there. Okay. If it's not there, you have custom requirements. You can always go to marketplace and look for that one. They have the free, they have the paid one. It's up to you what you go for. Sorry, this is the one community AMIs. Marketplace. See this community AMIs, all images are free. You can utilize those. And inside when you spin this one in the documentation, you'll find all the required documentation there. Okay, but and suppose you have a custom image, I will show how to create it. Those will be coming here when you start with the custom image. Quick start. So let's select Ubuntu 18.04. Select this one. Now choose the instance type. Now this is also important. What instance types you have? I think it's a very long list. I mean, some get overwhelmed, but again, don't get overwhelmed. It's up to your requirements. Actually, what applications you're gonna run, that application required what kind of resources. If it's a small application, just kind of hello world, it is be wise to go with this one, that's T2 Nano. But if it's some medium application or maybe a little bit more code running, it's have some requirement of the memory and the CPU, then go for the T2 Micro. If it's require more CPU, more RAM, then go for the T2. Similar way, the requirement as increasing, you are going for more higher and higher instance type. Now if your application need like a very large application, it's required very high amount of CPU processing power, then go to the C series. C series. See. Now how to choose this one I will be showing you. Now these are the C series. You'll see more CPU. It's more on the CPU focus. Compute. See, you can see compute optimize. Compute instances have a higher ratio of virtual CPU to memory than other families. The lowest cost per virtual CPU among all is due. It's up to requirement. What is the like? Suppose you have application that is more on the memory part. It requires much optimized memory. So again, if you go to you'll see memory optimized options here. You can see memory optimized R series. See, you have to think like what is my exact requirement. If you have this is the storage optimization part, I mean the storage part you are using that IO, that writing and reading files. This is more happening in your instance, the machine. Then you need a storage optimized part. This is up to your requirement. Like if you want to host database in a machine, then go for the storage optimized. This will be the very very practical use cases. It's up to you. But and there is general purpose. Suppose you are running, you're hosting a web application, then go for the general purpose. So all are general purposes here. Yeah, the rest of the options. Okay. Now T2 are the smaller ones. Then you go the M, that's the medium ones. That like how to understand that what is the why it's more costly. If you see the cost, I don't see the cost part here, but if you use the AWS calculator, you'll find it there. Calculator EC2. Okay. Okay, so here you see, first choose the region. Right now I'm in Oregon region. So first select the region. Here you can select the region here, Oregon. After selecting the region, then select like how many instances you want to run. Now you can see here that for A series to M series, the cost is increasing, isn't it? See, on demand. So primarily let's focus on the on demand. I will be I will explain a little bit about the savings and the instance a little bit later, but let's focus on the on demand. You can see all the costs are coming here. Like if you want to select a T2 micro, just for example, let's search for the T2 micro. T2 micro. See, the cost is so low, 0.000 sorry 0.0104 dollar. And you can see the of course you see that I think I click on the wrong one. Okay, T2 micro, okay, this one 0.0116. T2 nano is low, 0.0058. So you can see the more CPU and RAM you're utilizing and the more features you're getting, like more network bandwidth or SSD, see the cost getting increases. So the more resources you use, the more amount you have to pay. Okay, now save it. You can estimate the cost. Suppose if you use the T2 nano, then it's going to cost you monthly $4.42. Now don't just think you have to run the machine, you have to think about the storage part also. So what is the storage part? First let's select the instance, click on next one with instance details. Here it's a bit advanced, I will say, for the beginners. When in the upcoming session when I cover the VPC part, then we'll explain on this. Okay, but you have to select the VPC. You don't have to think about when you're starting. We have creating account, default VPC already there, and is accessible to outside internet and from the outside to inside. The English traffic also enabled, so you don't have to worry. You can select the subnets. Again, you don't have to worry for at this stage. Auto public assignment, you should enable that. At the beginning, if you see it's disabled, make sure you enable it. I would say when to enable, I will explain not the today's session, but in the future sessions. Shutdown behavior. These are the options here. You can see monitoring. If you want to enable, like see, there is a granularity thing. Like suppose if you enable this one, it will be per minute. I think per minute tracking. Otherwise, it's 5-minute tracking. So you have to check that point. Now AWS already improved it. It could become 1 second. I don't know. They may change. Additional charges apply. So you can see here CloudWatch, the pricing part, metrics. I was right. So detailed one, it's 1 minute frequency, 1 million API request not applicable to get. Okay, so you should always check the pricing part. It's up to you, but check that before doing anything else. Okay, let's go for the review now. As for the storage, that part I'm saying. So you have to think about the storage. Now storage here is EBS, Elastic Block Storage. It's a permanent storage kind of thing. Now this in this I want to make sure you understand this. This is the device where is the root path is there. Volume type root, snapshot, like what should be the default, I mean the base snapshot from where you are, the image will be taken. You can see here snapshot is the backup of EC2 volume that's storing EC2. You can create volume storage using the store snapshot by entering the snapshot ID. You can see it's already there. The size. Now you know better than anyone else what is the size of application. I mean, what the memory requirement the application have. Suppose it's more of the uploading and downloading part, and you're doing other services, just storing the machine. You have to think like what could be the maximum size that's needed. You can just sit there. Like suppose your application, you have some npm modules or whatever programming language you use, it requires some resources to be installed right in the machine. You know better because you already tested in local machine. Put that one here. Suppose say your machine in 20 GB, your application in 20 GB, so just mention it here. Now here is also important, the volume type. General purpose volume is there. You see IOPS part, just notice that if you use the provision IOPS SSD IO1, see the IOPS you can manually set, and you as you manually set, the price also getting increased. Okay, I mean it will be more. If you select the IO2 is the new one, you see it's 10,000. Of course the price also increase accordingly. Magnetic price will be lowest. As the IOPS increase, the price will be higher. I will show the pricing part, when I go explain the in little bit more details. I will show that part, how to check the pricing and all. Now this, now let's go. Normally you don't need provision IOPS or IO1 or IO2 or magnetic. If it's something like data storage and you don't not much use that one, go for the magnetic. If it's a web application, a normal application, go for the GP, that is general purpose SSD. If it's required a high number, like a database, your input, you're writing and reading, all this is happening very fast, then for those occasions, go for the IO2 or IO1. This is again easier based on your application need. Should not do based on the whim, but actual need. Okay. And see this option, delete on termination. Now suppose you're running the machine and you're done with the machine, and that value is stored in the machine, it's no more required, then you can enable this tick box. But if you want to keep the record for a backup purpose, or could be any reason, that you want to make sure that even if the machine shut down, this data must not remove from this machine, then disable this part. Otherwise it will be gone. Okay, that happened with many people, that they didn't know, they worked with some machine and then they terminated the machine. Accordingly the EVS volume also getting destroyed and they lost the data. That can happen. So make sure that if it's something very important, the data you need to retain, then enable, then disable the option. If you don't need the data, then enable the option. On termination, it will get deleted. You can create, if you have any, if you want any encryption to be needed, you can enable from here. I don't need, so I'll just skip for now. Now let's go tags. Now tags are a very efficient way to track the resources. Not just think about like tagging some custom naming, but when doing the cost optimization, to understand for a particular category or particular machine how much cost you are incurring, you can do it by the tags. So use that one as per your image. Okay, name say test machine or demo machine say. Okay, now review, now configure security setup. Now comes the security part. Again I will go a little bit depth little bit later, but for now just think that it is allowing your instance to communicate from inside to outside and from outside to inside. Okay, if you don't give anything or disable it, then there will be no you cannot access the machine from anywhere. So by default, if you just by default they're allowing 22. You can disable it. I mean, if you don't want, then it's okay, but you are running a machine, you need to install the modules, and in normal if you're a beginner, then you have to install all the modules, everything you have to install it. And if you want that, suppose you're running a web application and you want a port need to be open, then in that port your application will listen to, so some traffic comes to that port, then your application will react to that. For that you have to add the TCP IP, I mean the port for that number. Normally what happens, normally there is port 80, you can give custom port or you can say HTTP. You can see, if you do the HTTP, then you see by default 80 is there. You want that to be accessible by the all public. Similarly, if it's secure SSH, it's not SSH, sorry, it's HTTPS. Yeah, HTTPS. Then is 443. Suppose you want any custom IP, it could be anything. Just for example, let's say MySQL. You can again MySQL also there, I think. Yeah, MySQL there, but you don't have to always go for, like, you can always go for custom TCP. And if you just even if you can also give the range also, but say 3306 or whatever port. Like if you want another application to in the same machine to be run on 4000 port, you can do it like that way. Okay. Now here the part is like, you want to make sure that this port is accessible from only your machine. Then you can select from my IP. Then no one other can log in the machine with the port 22. Even if they have the certificate to log in the machine. But if you want that TV machine to be, port 22 should be accessible for anywhere, you can set this anywhere. Okay. The source here need to be log or security. Just for example, the source it to be, let's say, okay, HTTPS. Let's say custom TCP. Okay, I forget to mention it here. See, for now, I just don't need all this. For now, I don't need all these things. So let's just remove it. Okay, cut and adjust that from the beginning. So yeah, so by default, you will see the port 22 is enabled, right? Now you can, if you want any more port to be enabled, you can always use the custom TCP rule. Let's say port 80 you want to enable, or whatever port you want to enable, and you want to be accessible from anywhere. You can do it like this, and go and review launch. Okay. Yes. So we have configured the instance. You are selecting instance type T2 small. That is one virtual CPU and two memory. Security groups are there. Then instance details are there. Storage you have have made is 20 GB. You can say that whatever you would like to do there, and you have given the tags. Now launch it. So when you're launching, then they will ask for what is the key pair you want to choose. Suppose you don't have any key pair, you can just go here and ask for new key pair and download. They will give the option like say YouTube demo key 2. You can download it like this one. If you click on that, a download pop-up will come and say save it. So example I'm giving, but I already have one key, so I will go with the existing one. Suppose you have existing key previously, you can go with that one. So I have the demo one, and if you lose this key, you will lose the access to EC2 instance. Now there is many workaround. I'll be not covering this session, maybe in the later session, but there are workarounds. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, now launch the instance, and it will start within few seconds. Okay. Okay, now give it some time. You can see the instance state is in pending state. As soon as it just start, you will see the IP available. I think IP is already available, the public IP. Oh, it's running. See how fast it is. Now you want to start this one. Now you have your instance running and you want to access the machine. Okay, how to access the machine? So I already have, so IP. Now you need the IP, or you can do it by the domain also. It's up to you. I do it by the IP. It's easy for me that way. Now since I have selected it's Ubuntu instance, that Ubuntu AMI I have used, so that's why it's Ubuntu. But what if you use the Amazon machine image or other images? So this thing. So if it's Amazon machine image, it's EC2 user. If it's CentOS, then the username will be CentOS. If it's Debian, the username will be admin. If it's Fedora AMI, the username will be EC2 user or Fedora. If it's Red Hat, then it should be EC2 user or root. If it's SUSE, then EC2 user or root. If for Ubuntu, of course, it's Ubuntu. and otherwise EC2, if EC2 didn't work, check with the AMI provider. So if it's some custom AMI, then you have to ask whoever is a provider what username they have configured the AMI. Okay. Now since you are using the Ubuntu, we'll go with the Ubuntu one. And yeah, I will give the this documentation link in the description section, so you might check later what to check. I mean, what AMI you are using, and according to that you select that. Okay, don't worry on that part. Now let's come here and let's log in the machine. You'll ask for the confirmation, and yes, you're done. And this is you're logged in the cloud machine. In a few seconds, you have started a machine in cloud. What to do now? Now the very first thing you should do is you should update the packages. Sudo apt-get update, and we update the package list. Now this is the basic step. Now what you should do is like install Git or whatever. Then after that you download the package from the Git repo and install the application, then install whatever resources you need. You can do all these kind of things, but your machine is ready now. Okay, so this is one to show you how easily you can set the machine. Now I will talk about the other options. So in this is about creating instances. Now instance types, you can find the information about what instance type available, like what are the instance type and the CPU, the architecture, the memory which it, what you have, the storage type, the network performance, on demand Windows pricing. You can find all the information here. Okay, it is the pricing also here. Suppose is T2 micro, so you can see the cost here. Just like I checked in that this section, you can also check from the here check here also. Okay, and now the launch templates. I will not cover the launch templates today, but it is some similar to the AMIs. You can run other instances like in auto scaling and all using these launch templates. Spot request. If you are not never heard this Spot before, Spot is like unused resources by AWS, which are simply the EC2 machine, EC2 instances only, but which is not getting used. Okay, they have the resources there in their availability zones and all. Now there since they have the resources ready and it's not getting utilized, you can get it for a very cheaper cost, could be even 90% off. Okay, and you can utilize that one. So this is that part. You can request for it and you can get it if you have the requirement. It requires dedicated session for the Spot instances, so I'll be not covering that depth, but you can achieve that by that. Savings plan. Again, suppose you are very sure that that your application is going to run for years and years. You can purchase savings plan, so you can save the data. In particular, savings plan, I already have a session in my video library. You can go and check it. Okay. Usually it's EC2 Fargate. If you go for the flexible plan, then you have the savings plan on EC2 Fargate Lambda, and if you have EC2 instance specific, they have this plan. So you can save up to 66% on the flexible, up to 72% on the EC2 instance specific. It's up to you. Now the reserve instances. Now previously you only had the reserve instances. Now you have the savings plan I have just shown here, but it was from the very beginning. In reserve instances you can get more than 70% off. So purchase reserve instances, then you have to, like, in a particular region, how many instances you are running. Based on that you can just say, look, I'm going to running, or I'm going to run this much instances. But that is, you can reserve the capacity. If since you're reserving for years, the AWS will offer you the discounts. Based on that you can purchase it. Again, I'm not going to purchase, and because once you purchase you cannot cancel it until it's a convertible reserve instances. But for now we're not going to go that depth, but know that available there. Okay, actually for this savings plan, Spot instances, and this savings thing, I'm planning for separate session, maybe in a few months later, but we'll do it. Okay, dedicated host. Now the instances I just created here, this is running on a shared environment. Okay, but if you want to make sure, if you have a regulatory regulatory mandatory that it should be separated from all other network interfaces, it should be very, it's a dedicated instance and nothing should be shared with this instance physically. Okay, then this is our dedicated host, where you can allocate dedicated host, but it will cost you more cost, okay, than the normal instances. So make sure that you remember that part. Schedule instances. Okay, let's come it here. So schedule reserve instances. Schedule reserve instances allow you to reserve EC2 instances on recurring schedule. You can purchase daily, weekly, monthly reservation to ensure your application have a compute capacity you need. Suppose you have, I'm just giving a practical example. Suppose you on weekday your sale increase, and that time your your compute usage is much higher than a normal one. Then think about that. If you have reserved that time instances, so you have reserved for, like, as you say, weekly, monthly. Normally you do it for the yearly parts only. So for year you have reserved the instance, and this particular time, Saturday and Sunday, you can do by that way. You can get this begin. You can give them starting that to, like, for duration 4 hours minimum, allow 2 hours time window. You can also do that. 4 hours, recurring daily, weekly, monthly, it's up to you. Then the instance detail, what kind of instance you're reserving the capacity, and that's it. You have to pay for that one. Okay, capacity reservation is also similar. If you just go here, you have what your capacity, you are doing capacity reservation. See, when you need specific time, and you can do that way. So again, I will be showing all this in a very greater depth, because if I try to cover this in this video, it will be too long. So I will not go that way, but yeah, we can do it. Now come the images part. Okay, here is the AMI, but it's not the AMI you saw in that. It's a custom AMIs. How can you do the custom AMI? Just go to instances. Suppose in this instance I install a lot of software, all the software I've installed. Maybe like just say Git is there or not. Git is there. Okay, curl. I think curl should be, curl is not there. So we'll install sudo apt get curl. Git. Okay. Okay, sorry. Curl is already there, I think. Okay, it was already there. It is reading. Curl is already in the file. Okay, it is already there. Now let's say htop. Htop is the command to see the CPU usages and all. Htop, I think htop should not be there. Htop also there. Okay, let me think what could not be there. Let's say MySQL. See, MySQL not there, so you can install the MySQL. Yeah. Doesn't matter, just for example, but you can install anything. But since I'm installing that, it takes some time. See, MySQL command is available now. Okay. Now you have done MySQL installation, MongoDB, whatever installation you need, or maybe application setup you have did. Now you want to make sure you want to run copies of the same thing. How you can do it? I mean, every time you don't want to install all this again and again and again. You never want it. If you're not, now there is way to not do it again and again if you are using Docker or some package containerized application concepts. But we are not talking about those for now. Let's focus on this one. So you don't know if you're going to run a similar machine. If you again do all this kind of installation, that's not the right thing, right? Since you have already done, you should not repeat yourself. How you can achieve that? That's the AMIs. So you can make an image of this one and make a custom AMI, and then you can launch instances from this AMI. Let me show you very quickly. So you go AMIs, you will see nothing is there, nothing is there. It's a new AMI. I don't have a AMI here for now. Now instances, select this one, right click on that. You can see there should be image. create image. Yeah, create image. So let's say sample image. I'm just creating for demo purpose. Just a sample demo image. Volume type 20 GB. Doesn't matter. You can mention whatever volume you want. You can add additional volume also. It's up to you. Now simply create the image. Okay. Now if you come to AMIs, see the image getting built. Currently in the pending state. I think it takes some time since it's 20 GB, so it's going to take a little bit more time, but don't worry, it will start. Since this is happening, I will show after this done. I will show how to launch instance from this AMI. Now let's talk about the volumes in that meantime. What are the volumes? Again, you remember we have created the instance and the volume. I have selected 20 GB. That is here, the 20 GB volume. You can see it's attached with the instance here. And since we have the tagging, so name also getting tagged here. Volume 20 GB. And see my spending. Okay. And this is the volume. Now I have this volume from older machines. I can always terminate it. Suppose I want to remove all those. You can, if it's not required anymore, you can always. Is connected to some machine. Okay, this is this instance. See, this instance I've stopped it. All that. So these 3 instances volumes are this one. Now what if we try to detach or delete now? Like detach volume. See, detached now. And if you go to instances, it's not detached. Now you can remove it. So you can, now the delete volume is coming. Previously you didn't detach, so the delete volume was not coming. Now delete the volumes. Now see, I have only one volume that is running for this instance. And let's remove the instances. This I don't need anymore. So you can just go and instance state. You can click on that. You can always click on, if to terminate the instance, just click on the terminate instance, and it will terminate. Shutting down. It's already shut down state. We'll just terminate within a few seconds. Spending state again. Snapshot. Now, if you want to keep a backup of volume, you should be doing the snapshot. See what snapshot already is creating. For which one is creating this one? For this AMI. Okay. So it also takes some time. I think you can check the AMI ID. Volume AMI creating image 581. See, for this AMI ID, that snapshot getting created. So it's just a normally cases it's just to keep backup of the volume. Sometime what happens, you're going to do some experiment, you are going to do something, your data might get corrupted or something could happen, right? So you can always like go to volume and create a snapshot. So what is snapshot? At that point of time, whatever the machine's ephemeral storage, it will remove, but normal permanent storage, whatever you have it there, that data will get that state, it will get saved. Okay, ultimately they're stored in the EC2 only, sorry, S3 only, but okay, ultimately they store that in S3 only, but you don't get all the details. Okay, so you can always go and create snapshot. Just give the snapshot description like sample snapshot, and if you want to tag it is up to you. I'm not tagging it, and that's it. If you come here in the snapshot sections, you'll see a snapshot is getting created. I think the AMI is now getting created. Yeah, AMI is available. I will go to AMI. I will show the AMI, but a little bit later. Let's talk about the lifecycle manager. Create a snapshot lifecycle. Schedule, manage, and create and deletion of the EVS snapshot. So let's say, so description, test. So we have select resource type volume, target with these tags. We are not targeting. See, tag is everything usable here. Policy schedule, name, logical ID, stack ID, a volume is required. So you have to select the volume here. Logical ID, stack name. It's up to you, but you can use the tag name or the instance. The policy applet is included with any following tags. Up to you. Okay. Now you have to see the schedule name, like whatever schedule name you want to have, the frequency, like what schedule. It is like, you know, automated the backup you want sometimes for those cases only. Otherwise, not that required. And you can add more policies here, policy and all these kind of things here. It's up to you use cases. Okay, subcycle manager. This networking and security part, I will just explain about the security groups, elastic IP, placement. I want to have a separate session on that, key pairs and networking interfaces. I will just touch. I think I will also explain the placement group a little bit. Okay, just to understand. Then we'll go to load balance, auto scaling. Okay. Now first thing is, let's explain about the AMI part. So we have created the AMI. From this AMI, now you can launch an instance. See, it will come here. The launch instance screen. Just give it some time. See, this is coming here. Now you can select like what is the again. See, don't just think that if you created an image from a particular instance, you only have that resources locked on. No, that data on the machine is locked on, but you can always select how many CPUs you want to add and how much memory you want to have it. You can add that way. Okay. Now select this one. Say T2 medium you want to, I just want to show you. See, all the data is filled up. See, security group. Yeah, security group you have to you have to mention it. Say this one. So review and launch. The volume is, I think, will be same. See, the storage part is 20 GB. Yep. Now you can increase the storage. You can see you have the option to increase it, so you can do that way. It's up to you. Let's go review and launch. Launch it. Again, I have the key pair. Again, see, previously that instance we have used the separate key, but here you have option again to select other key. I'm just using the same key I have. Launch instance. Okay, here the instances. So this is the instance getting created. Say demo machine 2. Save it. After this up, we'll check. Okay, this is all. It's very quick. Okay. So and start another terminal. And see, we have installed the MySQL here. It should be available here also. See, the command is working. Now I'm not starting it now, but the command is available now. In default, it was not there, right? But now it's available. Okay, let's stop it. Okay, now what if you just you want to keep the data, but you don't want the machine running cost, you don't want. I mean, you want to run it now, you don't want to run later. For those cases, just make it stop state. Yes. Now remember the IP, what is what? 1420 white 147. If you stop it, so it's not, let it stop. It will take some time. See the IP, it gone, isn't it? If if you can start it. See, the IP will change for sure. IP changed. That remember that if it's normal instance, you're not using elastic IP to like show now, the IP will change. Okay, if it's static IP or that is elastic IP, it will never change. You, you stop here and see IP is changed. What happened? Remember, if you stop it, it will change. It will release the IP. Then some other people can use it, and you will get whatever the next IP available. You will use that one. Okay, so it's good. Now, if you're done with testing and all, you can always go and terminate the instance. Now let's come to the security group. Now, what is security group? In security group, you remember that security group we just added some we enabled the the port numbers, what should be accessible and what should be not accessible. Now, how to know that what is that instances security group? You can always go here, and the security name was launch user 7. So let's go to security group. You should always use some good naming, but demo purpose I didn't use that one, but you should always use one. Okay. Okay. See the launch user 7. This is the security group ID. Outbound is by default, all the outbound is you can see all the outbound is there. I mean, it can communicate to all IPs on all over all ports. And inbound, you select what IP and what port it should be allowed. Okay, suppose you want to make sure that SSH should be only accessible from my IP. You can do like sorry, not HTTP. From my IP, then it will become your IP only. Just remove this one because don't need my IP and save it. So other than my IP, no one should be able to. What happened? That is fine. Go back. HTTP is there. Delete this one. Save rules, and you're done. Yes. Okay, so you can see port 18 is only accessible from my IP. If I change, if someone from other IP have even my certificates, they should be able to log in anymore. So you can always edit the rules from the security group sections. I'll just show you elastic IP. Now remember that IP we what happened when we just change that we stop the machine and the IP change. But if you want to make sure that the IP should never change, for that cases you have to use the elastic IP. First allocate the elastic IP. Yes, IP4. You have to select the region. This is the static IP. Your elastic IP now. 24192. You can click on the right. The option to attach. See, associate elastic IP address. Click on that, and I have one instance running. Of course, only one running. Associate it. Now previously this machine IP was this one. It was that machine's IP 54.218.108. Now if I go to the instances and click on that instance, you can see this is the instance, and do refresh, that machine's IP will change. See, it's now changed 54.214.292. That this is the same IP as the elastic IP. That's how it happens. Okay, now let's try to access the machine. Now this is the IP. Let's try to do it. And you are done. This is I'm trying to run the MySQL command. It should work, of course. So that is the machine IP now. That's how I change it. Now, if you just stop the machine, I'll be out of the terminal. Yeah, I'm out of terminal. Stop in pretty quick, so don't worry. Give it some time and it'll stop. So anyway, even if it's stopping, the IP will not change. Yeah, it's stopped now. But see, the IP is not getting changed. It's same. You can start again and see the IP will be same again. That's how to show you. Okay. Now placement group is something what I can say. It's a group of instances to make sure that communication is better and all. But let me show you the documentation of this placement group. AWS placement group. That will be better to make you understand. I think a diagram also available. When you log the EC2 instance, the EC2 attempts to place the instance in such a way that all your instances should be spread out across underlying hardware to minimize the correlated failures. You can use permanent to influence the placement of a group of independent instances to meet the need to workload. Depending on your type of workload, you can create placement group using the following placement strategies. Cluster. If you use the cluster strategy, pack instances close together inside availability zone. The strategy enables workload to achieve the low latency. Make the point is low latency. Network performance is necessary to do tightly coupled node-to-node communication, that is typical to HPC application. Partition. When you should go the partition strategy, spread your instances across logical partitions such as group of instances in one partition. Do not share the underlying hardware. Group of instances different. These strategies typically used with a large distributed replicated workload such as Hadoop or Cassandra and Kafka. Spread strategy strictly places a group of a small group of instances across distinct underlying hardware to reduce the correlated failure. So this is actually a requirement. If you have any requirements that is mentioned in here, you can go for the placement group. Okay. Now let's talk about the other thing. Let's go to EC2 and let's talk about the networking interface. Now this is more of the in-depth networking part. I don't want to go at this moment, but when I cover the VPC part, I will cover this one. Okay, let's go for the load balancers. Now, what is load balancer and what is auto scaling? Those are not that easy topics. It deserves to be a separate sessions, but just understand that what happens is that suppose you are running one application and you have 100 concurrent users or maybe 200 concurrent, that's working fine. Suppose you need, like, suddenly there is 1,000 users or 2,000 users, then the load on that machine will increase, right? Then you need to add more instances, okay, and that load need to be distributed between all the other machines. That is done by the load balancer. Now, and target group is what defining from which target to send. I mean, you have the load balancer, then load balancer split traffic between the targeted instances that way. And the adding of that machine, how happens? That happens by the auto scaling. So if you have the auto scaling set, then if the like suppose two machines running and the load getting increased, the metric could be CPU, the hardware, whatever, as you said in the CloudWatch. Based on that metric, the alarm will happen and the number of machines will be added, and the load balancer will distribute traffic with the new machines as it get in service. That is what happens. So you should learn about all this load balancer, auto scaling. To do set up auto scaling, you need the launch configuration. In launch configuration, you have to select the AMI and all. See, you create that AMI. So you have whatever application you have, that application's AMI you should give there. Then the instance type, like what kind of instance should be running, you can select from here. It's like T2, say small, whatever you see requirement. In production, then you run the M3 or some other model based on your requirement. Then EV optimization, if you want it to be EV optimized, you can do it. If you want the detailed monitoring should be enabled, you can do it. But make sure that if you are using EVS optimized instance, then the cost there is a bit increase. It's up to you that you want to optimize EVS or not. It's up to you. Then what is the size you want? When the new machine added, what should be the size? It's up to your use case, and you want to be auto terminated or not. Again, it's up to your requirement. then see the security group. You can select the existing security group, or you can create a new security group. So when the new machine getting added to the workload, should it be some new security group, or it should be using existing security group? It's up to your use case. Okay, and keep here. Suppose you the new machine added and some problem happened in the new machine. You want to go log in the SSH. Log in using SSH and see what is problem happening. For those cases, you need the key pairs. If you don't want, it's okay. You don't want to do it, but then they have to select the proceed without a key pair. If you want to make sure that it's a key pair you need, just give the pair name. Okay, the existing one. Normally you should be using the existing one, but if you want to create new one, you can always create this one. They have the option like there here. Okay, this is what I'm going to show you. Now this load balancing, auto scaling, I will have a detailed session, but just I want to show you what options you have in EC2 dashboard. EC2 dashboard is looking simple, but it has more thing than what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, I'll be explaining about all that in my later session, but this is a very introductory session. Okay, and I want to keep it very simple. So you are new to AWS and you want to start a machine in AWS, how you should get started. That is what I solve using this session. You can just jump on now, you can run the instance, you can do whatever you want, you can log in using SSH. I have shown you like how to log in, how to use this one. I will give in the link also below. It's up to you. You should be, you should do more hands-on to get mastery in AWS. How you can do it? Just do hands-on. That's the only way. Okay, and yeah, this is the session I wanted to have it. Next, I will be covering the S3, so one advanced and load balancing and all this I'll be showing in the later sessions. Okay.